Hello and welcome back to the Film Posers YouTube channel. My name is Josie and I am accompanied by my co-hosts Juan, Gabriela, and Ana, and we are going to be discussing In the Heights. And our moderator for this video will be Gabriela Burgos. Take it away.
Finally, we're reviewing In the Heights. We are talking about In the Heights after such a long time of waiting, as you probably know. In the Heights was one of the Film Posters' most anticipated films of 2020, but then everything happened, so it became one of our most anticipated films of 2021. And so we received the screener. We were very lucky to receive a screener. So to talk a little bit more about this film, it is based on the Broadway musical written by Lin-Manuel Miranda, who many people know from Hamilton, but this was actually his first show. And the film adaptation was directed by John M. Chu, who directed Crazy Rich Asians, and the script was written by Chiara Alegria Udes, who also wrote the book of the musical, as well as Lin. So it has all-star cast. We have Anthony Ramos from Hamilton playing the lead of Usnavi, whom Lin-Manuel originated on Broadway. We got Leslie Grace in the role of Nina, Corey Hawkins as Benny. And so this film revolves around the community of Washington Heights, where we have Usnavi, who is the owner of the bodega, who wants to return home to the Dominican Republic. We have Nina, who went off to college and now she's back with some very sad news. We have Vanessa, who wants to leave Washington Heights and become a fashion designer. And so it's just a lot of these stories in this community, how everything, how their lives changed throughout the span of a few weeks in this community. It is a very lively musical, a beautiful representation of Latinx culture, and just overall a very important musical. So yeah, let's just jump into our initial thoughts. I'm gonna open up the floor to the posers. Who wants to go first?
It's a great film. It's for everybody. Everybody will be able to enjoy it. It's definitely a summer blockbuster type of film. And I really had no qualms with it, very few. I think the only thing that I wanted more of it is that the film is very visually pleasing and it is a visual spectacle, but the story gets sacrificed a bit because of that. So other than that, it's just very visually pleasing. Again, the music, colors, it's just a combustion of just like so many things at the same time that just feels so magical and otherworldly.
So this fashion moment brought to you on Film Posters was not planned between me and Gabriela. You are seeing the same shirt. This isn't visual effects. This is great. I also had high expectations for In the Heights. John M. Chu got on my radar with Crazy Rich Asians. I was part of that awards campaign. And with this film, I did feel there was a lot to deliver. And I feel it did for the fans. I definitely think this is definitely something that's going to appeal to so many people. I also agree with Josie in the way that it's going to be a summer blockbuster. I could see people driving to the drive-in theaters and watching it there. I can imagine the experience there is going to be great. I do feel that this is probably one of the most fun films you'll see this summer. I think it's vibrant. I think the colors are beautiful. It's aesthetically pleasing. It is so much fun. I think it's impossible for you not to sing along and dance along with it. Even if you don't know the music, it's very hard not to vibe with it. It is so good. Olga Meredith, my God, if her Oscar campaign doesn't start now, I swear I'm gonna feel she's wrong because she is so good as Abuela Claudia. If I remember correctly, she was on the original Broadway show.
She originated the role on the Broadway production, and she was nominated for a Tony. So,
I feel it's only right to nominate her for the Oscar here too. I think she is a show stealer.
Truly. And I think my favorite part is that, no one else could have been Abuela Claudia.
I agree.
No one else. I don't think, not saying that there aren't so many talented actresses out there. Right. But, Abuela Claudia is the soul of the musical. And Olga Meredith encompassed that so perfectly in the original production that I couldn't. When the film was announced, that's the first role I thought about. I just kept thinking, who could be Abuela Claudia? And I love that Paciencia y Fe was
That was my favorite scene.
that was my favorite number of the entire film. It
ruined
cried.
me. It
Oh
ruined
yeah,
me.
I cried so much in that
Yep.
scene.
So yeah, I agree with Josie and Juan. This is a film that it's a blockbuster summer film. It's full of energy, diversity. We love the sabor in this movie. I love how it blends Latin music with hip hop and just emits this liveliness to it. And the choreography really fits well. And I gotta say, the visuals were amazing. I really loved the visuals. There was this one specific scene where it's with the grandma in the train station, like chef's kiss. I loved it. Also, great performance by Anthony Ramos doing the character Usnami. He really knew how to like bring that character to life, and it's just a movie that I think a lot of families will love and they will sit down and they will, cherish because it's a movie filled with representation. When I saw that Puerto Rican flag on the big screen, I was happy to see it, and I think a lot of Latinx families will enjoy seeing like being represented.
I think that's what I like the most about In the Heights. It's that it's positive representation. It's not based on stereotypes. It's not a tragedy. But and I felt nothing but pride watching In the Heights, especially in Carnaval de Barrio. Like I knew that that number was going to destroy me. I knew, and it did exactly that. As soon as they started singing the flags, I loved that scene. And yeah, it's pride that you feel seeing your culture represented, because there's so many different Latinx cultures, and a lot of them are represented in this film, especially in that scene. We see flags from all over Latin America and the Caribbean. It's a beautiful moment in the film.
And what I liked about In the Heights also is just that some movies they tend to force the representation, but this one it was very smoothly and not in your face in a way.
Yeah. And I also like, the scene where we see Abuela Claudia cooking and we see all the food that she did. That's food that we make during the holidays. But that's our food. It was just very nice to see that, and having, just exist and be happy to be, Puerto Rican, Mexican, Cuban, Dominican, all of that fun stuff. But as much as I loved the film, it also has its problems, and it's surrounding the plot, which Josie and I kept talking about. Because, we as fans of the original production, there are, the plot of the film is essentially very different from the original musicals, and some things were sacrificed. And I think my biggest complaint is actually Nina's storyline, how it was completely changed from what it was in the original production. Like, I'm not going to spoil it, but it's completely different. And they also cut a few songs out that when we finished watching the screener was when it hit me that they had actually cut a specific song, and I don't understand why. They could have still added it in. It would have been perfect. I am really sad about those changes because I consider them to be more important, and it caused me in the original production to relate the most to Nina. And what happened was that I related more to Abuela Claudia in the film, which I did not expect that to happen at all. But I still love it. It was what I wanted with the film, and the musical numbers were so well done that I was like, you know what, it's fine. I'll forgive you. It's fine. I can't stay mad at you. Those musicals are perfect. And yeah, overall, what they decided to add in terms of the current political climate, I think it worked very well. But that's kind of like my only issues with it, and I know Josie had something to say about that too.
No, yeah, I definitely felt the same way. Again, it's the same thing I said earlier. It just feels like a lot of the story was sacrificed for those visual elements because they wanted to make it big and grandiose, but then the story gets cut here and there, and it just lost a lot of what would have made it cohesive.
I personally, I didn't know a lot about the source material. I never heard the soundtrack or had never seen the Broadway show. However, when I saw the movie, there was this one point on the film, maybe in the third act, that it was just a little bit too much because the duration of the film is 2 hours and a half, and I felt that it was a lot.
So I thought Anthony Ramos was perfect casting as Usnavi. I thought he did an amazing job. I agree with Anna about the hour duration. I have previously only heard the soundtrack. I never saw the show. And I feel at one point you do feel how long it is. But I also had a great time because it ends up being a feel-good movie. So I kind of forgave it in that aspect. But I do agree that I don't know where specifically I could cut it, but there could have been a couple of things I maybe would have cut or at least trimmed back a bit.
At the end of the day, it is 2 hours and a half, but you don't feel it because it's very dynamic. The film is very dynamic, so you don't feel it unless you're not into musicals. That's the whole nother thing. Why are you watching a 2 hour and a half musical? But it's a great film, and it's really fun. That's what I'm gonna say. It's a fun film.
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing about the duration, the length is that, that's how long the original Broadway musical was. And, you can't cut songs because it'll basically ruin, even though they did cut some songs, but they ended up cutting, a reprise and then, like a solo from a character. There's just so much you can do because you can't make this movie an hour and 30 minutes. There's just no way. This film needs to be 2 hours and 30 minutes in order to fit everything in. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with In the Heights. I cried, I laughed, I sang along so loudly that my dad came and said, tone it down. But I loved it. It's going to be one of my favorite films. It feels good to finally have a film that represents your culture in a positive way. Finally. And overall, that's all I wanted from this film, was just to be happy with the representation. And for me personally, I think it did a really good job, and the entire cast and crew did a fantastic job. And I really, the other day, I was happy with it despite my problems with the storyline.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's a visually pleasing film that is very fun, and it's film representation, and you get what you wanted.
Definitely, I think it's worth checking out, worth your time. You can check it out in theaters or on HBO Max, same day, June 11th. And here, it's Film Poser approved, in my opinion.
Well, that's all for this video. Make sure to check out In the Heights when it comes out. It'll be playing in theaters and on HBO Max, same day release. And yeah, again, thank you for watching us. And remember, we're all film posers. Bye.
Bye.